Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of...
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Wow. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely.
New York City. You're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here, and miracle of miracles, look who's here with me, Russ Gallo. Thank God you're back, because I got tired of talking to myself, man.
Gene, you got the lean going on. That microphone's a little far away. You got to see him.
I'm stretching as far as I can, because I got to reset the volume as I'm doing things here. Not used to being here in our usual studio, having to set everything up, man. It's been hell without you. I mean, I've had to talk to myself. I've had to talk to...
I heard you did some manologues while I was gone. That's pretty good stuff, man.
I think you confused me with Andre Walker, by the way. Andre's not with us tonight. Check this out. Andre Walker said he couldn't do a monologue tonight because he's having dinner with the House Secretary, which I don't know what that means, if that's a code for a girl or if that's actually like an official title across the pond. I don't even know what that is.
I believe that's the British term for mistress, Jim.
Oh, I get it now. Now I understand why. Wait, so Russ Gallo's here, but Andre Walker's here. Andre Walker's here, but Russ Gallo's not here. Are you guys sharing the same? Never mind. But
my British accent is terrible. I'm not going to try.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back, and we have a lot to catch up on.
By the way, I plan on spiking the football tonight.
We're going to let you spike the football.
Good. I hope we have some time for that scheduled in here.
We have a great show scheduled. Not only is Russ Gallo going to spike the football after weeks of being away, talking about the Trump phenomenon, but we also have Dan Gaynor from Newsbusters and Media Research Center talking about the latest in media bias, including the Facebook suppression story that came out of Gizmodo, and that was on the cover of the New York Post this week, as well as the Obama administration saying that, yes, we lied to the media about Iran. All that and a lot more. But of course, what other thing can we do with Russ Gallo coming back except spike the football? Russ Gallo, the crowd's going wild right now for you. You said it. And it happened.
I think I called it from the jump, too, which is like an amazing... I wish I would have went on record earlier on this. By the way, goonrecord.com.
Yes.
The website, I started putting my entries on.
You started doing that?
I started doing it.
All right.
Because I want to get credit for some of these predictions that I make. Donald Trump, I called it from the jump, especially when...
We got to start linking those, by the way.
Yes. Especially when he went bananas with immigration. When he said he was going to build a wall.
BANANAS.
Make Mexico pay for it, and deport the illegals that we find, You can't get to the right of him on that issue. I've been saying this for cycle after cycle, Mr. Baradelli. If you're going to run in a Republican primary, you have to go to the right, so far right on an issue where no one can attack you from the right. And he picked a great issue because lots of Democrats, moderate Democrats, white, working class men who happen to be registered Democrats, agree with Mr. Trump. And this is why I predict, and I'm on record as saying this on goonrecord.com, that Donald Trump will win the general in a landslide. I don't care what these early polls are showing. All the early polls are showing that in the swing states, it's a tie. If it's a tie this far out and Trump hasn't even started campaigning against Hillary Clinton, watch what happens in November.
I got to give you credit for this because you did see this coming. And it goes back to almost Politics 101 that you talk about. And, yes, you're back this week, and I'm not throwing laurels at you. You say this all the time. There are articles at www.behindenemylines.radio.us where you outline what the plan for 2016 was for immigration. And it's like Donald Trump read that article.
And what was funny was I wrote a similar article back in 2014.
Yes.
And this was before Trump was even on the scene. I revised it in 2016 to fit with Trump, but it was basically the same stuff.
Everybody go check it out at our website, www.behindenemylines.radio.us. Look up the plan for victory. Thank you. The war plan for 2016 and 2014.
They're linked together.
It's basically the same article, but whatever.
Laziness. That's
a little lazy. But let's go a little deeper into what you saw. And again, credit where it's due, man. You called it from the jump when he had his crazy press conference at Trump Tower talking about the rapists and the criminals from Mexico coming in. And he recognized the wedge, and he ran with it as far as he could. And then it came to get these debates going on when you had, I don't know, half the population of Wisconsin on stage, right? At that point, Trump was about distinguishing himself as the anti-politician. And in doing that, I think he created one of the biggest fictions of all. The man is not the anti-politician. He is part of the political donor class that's been around funding establishment politicians on both sides. But he portrayed himself as a populist, non-politically correct, and it resonated with the people.
Well, he recognized something, Gene, that's the dirtiest little secret in politics. First of all,
people are stupid.
I'm not going to go as far as to say that.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I do agree with it.
Except for our listeners. Our listeners are awesome. Yes, our listeners are awesome. If you listen to this show, you are not stupid. Thank you very much for listening.
Political correctness is where Donald Trump's strength really, truly lies. The man is not afraid of being politically incorrect. I know we're going to talk about this later, but he's a self-made man when it comes to media and popularity and the populist term, nationalist term, all the stuff that's out there. He made himself. He wasn't created by the media. And I know we're going to debate this a little later on, but since he made himself, he can basically go out and say whatever the hell he wants to say, be as politically incorrect as he wants, because no one made him. He made himself. And how has that helped him? Like you said, he's able to paint himself as that outsider. He's able to talk about tariffs on importing goods, which historically Republicans are against. They're more free trade type guys. And immigration we already mentioned. So who does this cater to? Who is the core audience buying this up right now? In the Republican primary and then looking forward into the general. Hillary's having a big problem with this group of people that I'm speaking about right now. Can you guess who they are? Which demographic?
I'm guessing the young people that are voting for Bernie Sanders.
I say it's white men.
Oh,
white
wow, okay.
men in this country have not had a candidate they can rally behind forever. Yes, it's politically incorrect. We worry about who the blacks, who the Hispanics, and who the women are going to vote for.
And more recently,
the Mexicans.
The LGBTQ.
That was an inside joke.
WHPT, yes, and the Mexicans.
But and LGBT, all like 7 of them, however many there are in the country. By the way, I just came out of a bathroom with one a little while ago in New York City. So
good for you.
Yeah, whatever. It's anything.
Meeting
goes
people
nowadays.
in strangest places.
Anything goes. So, white working class males. And they try to downplay it on the news. I don't know if you watch the news. They talk about, these are the people with high school diplomas and nothing else.
Or they had the pointy hoods on, right?
Yeah,
the pointy white hoods.
Or they're the racist, white, middle-class men who don't want minorities living in their suburban communities. Keep on attacking them, because you know what? That's what caused Donald Trump to become this powerful. If you read anything I've ever written on Twitter or on our website, BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us, I am a Cruz guy. I'm a conservative. I was a Cruz guy. I transitioned seamlessly to Donald Trump because guess what I am? I'm one of those angry white males, working class white males. So Donald Trump is a win-win for me too. Keep bashing us and saying we're uneducated and uncouth and racist. Watch what happens in November.
But you know what? And this leads into the next part of the phenomenon that we're examining here as Russ Gallo takes his victory lap. Donald Trump was attack-proof because I don't know why he was attack-proof, but he would make the biggest gaffes that a politician could make, calling 9/11 7/11. Going after people because of race or gender or whatever it may be.
He was eating a taco salad on Cinco de Mayo.
Eating a taco salad saying, I love Hispanics.
Listen, Donald is my man, bro.
And yet, he didn't lose steam. He gained steam. And it goes against the conventional wisdom of political science that unforced errors will take you out of a race. How is it that this first-time politician, through the sheer force of his will and personality, was able to overcome those missteps? Is it because he's a first-time politician, or is this something that is just unique to Donald Trump?
People are angry, Gene. By the way, Mr. Trump, if you're listening or anyone on your staff is listening, as Master of Race Relations for the show, I am available to be an advisor on the staff. But
and let me tell you, he comes with references.
I come with plenty of references, plenty of background, plenty of history. You could just Google me and see what I'm all about. But, yeah, Gene, people are angry. I mean, are you not angry? I'm angry.
I've always called you the voice of an angry America.
And I appreciate that. And when you're angry, you want someone
who is just as angry as you.
Yes, and actually, I listen to all the other conservative talk shows on the radio. Ours is the best, but, the guys who've been around longer than us. And one of them says, it's Rush Limbaugh, he says, people don't really remember what politicians say. People remember how politicians made them feel when they were saying it. And that's true. Because guess what? A guy like me, I get a parking ticket, it seems like every week, or a red light camera ticket. Is Donald Trump going to fix that? No. But I'm angry at the government. I'm pissed off at the government. Every time I get a ticket, every time I got to pay my income taxes, every time I got to pay for a subway ride and sit next to a bum on the N train in Brooklyn, I'm angry with the government. And Donald Trump is going up on that stage day after day during this primary season, railing against the government. And it just makes you feel good. And that's why he's kicking butt.
The return of Russ Gallo has our chat room popping right now. For those of you listening to us live on Spreaker Tuesday nights at 10 p.m., we got a live chat room going, and we normally borrow some of the comments from there. Sometimes we give credit, sometimes we don't. Right now, everyone is going nuts about the return of Russ Gallo, the blatant pandering by me towards our audience, and just going off on the comments that Russ is bringing. Donald's hair defies nature. I love that comment. Comments about George Soros' money and
Nazis.
It's a whole bunch of
that's all about.
You know what? It's a little incoherent, but this is the 2 Drink Minimum Radio
and
crowd.
It's No Medication Wednesday.
It is No Medication Wednesday as well, so we appreciate you tuning in, everyone in the chat. If you're listening right now, go to www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Click on the Listen Live button, and you can join in with all the fun and hijinks in there.
By the way, it's not a show unless the Nazis get mentioned.
You know what? It's like you got to ring the bell. You got to ring the bell. You got to ring the bell. That's all there is to it. Especially, listen, this is what I've been missing about having you on the show, man. It's awesome. Back on topic. Yeah, No Medication Wednesday, but it's Tuesday. How do you know what day it is anyway when we're listening?
And I don't know if it's time for plugs, Gene, but we're on a few stations now that are going to hear us on Wednesday there, Mr.
Absolutely.
Fairley.
Someone's going to... For those of you who haven't been following the show, WJHC 107.5 FM. Shout out to everybody on the Florida-Georgia line. You make me want to roll my windows down and cruise. And listen, I'm glad that you're listening with us, and appreciate you tuning in Wednesday at 1 a.m. on WJHC. Take that, chat room.
Thank you.
Back on topic. People have been talking about this being a populist movement. Conservatives, specifically, Russ, have been getting angry and they feel like they're being left behind because they feel that the conservative movement has been co-opted by the populism of Donald Trump. And they're upset about it. I mean, we haven't really talked about the emergence of the Never Trump movement. Frankly, I'm on the Never Hillary movement myself. So let's. I think we all need to calm down with that rhetoric. Just one man's opinion. But is Donald Trump conservative enough for you?
Yes. And
how so?
And so that's a great question, Gene. And I don't understand the Never Trump people because they're not attacking him on issues. They'll attack him and say he doesn't expand enough on the issues in his platform, right? But then they'll rarely attack a specific and say, well, here's where he's not conservative. They'll say, I don't like the way he talks about people. I don't like how unprofessional he is. And he's not very presidential. So what do you mean, though? That doesn't mean he's not conservative. Is he not more conservative than Hillary Clinton?
To me, the definition of being presidential is being the guy with the most votes. That to me is what makes you presidential.
I get the presidential thing and all that, but that's not what the Never Trump people are saying.
We've had enough of the slick willies of the world. Come on.
I'll tell you who's truly off the rails on all this, too, is Mark Levin. I love Mark Levin. Great talk show host. I think he's a brilliant constitutional scholar.
Everybody should be listening to us, though, not to him. But anyway.
I mean, listen to him. He's great. I learned a lot from him. Why completely?
You can't plug the competition like that. Actually, you know what? He's on a different time slot on WJHC. We appreciate his audience, and we love you. Anyway, go ahead.
He's completely off the rails on this. He's one hop, skip, and jump away from being a Never Trump guy. Yak in the chat room is saying that he flip-flops on issues, talking about Donald Trump. I don't see that necessarily. I get that he's changed his position on issues.
Like minimum wage, for instance.
Yes. But and he said this in one of the debates, and I agree with him on it. Would you rather have a politician who takes a stance on a specific issue, and it turns out later that his stance on that issue is wrong, but he never changes it? Is that what you really want? Someone who stands by his principle even when he's wrong after being presented evidence to the contrary or being educated on the topic? I don't think so. And besides that, Gene, is that almost every issue that he's quote-unquote flip-flopped on, he's flipped over to the conservative position on them. So good for him. This is what we wanted, I thought. I thought we wanted to expand the Republican base and teach people about our ideas and get them to come over to us. Guess what? We got a billionaire who is a Republican who used to be pro-choice, who's now pro-life.
Or is he? Who knows by now?
Borders, possibly, but now wants a wall and is going to make the other country pay for it. He's on our side. This is what we wanted.
And here's what we wanted that he's brought, and you touched on it. Let's go into it. Record turnout for Republican primaries when Donald Trump was still in competition.
He's got more votes as a Republican primary candidate he got more votes than any other Republican primary candidate in the history of the Union. The history. No Republican running in a Republican primary has had more votes, and the election's not even over.
Just one example we talk about on the show all the time. South Carolina had 125,000 more people show up to vote, and that's part of the Trump phenomenon. We talk about, the big tent. Conservatives right now are not talking about the big tent. They want a conservative to control the tent, which is the problem. I think when we start talking about big tent, and you know what? Donald Trump said something recently that really got a lot of conservatives upset, saying this is the Republican Party, not the Conservative Party. There has to be a recognition that you can't win without a united party. And if Donald Trump's bringing people in, that's fine. We can talk about unity later on, of course, because conservatives are, not embracing him at this point. He's got 13 more weeks to work on that, by the way. I think it'll happen in time, though. But he's expanded the base, Russ.
100% expanded the base. And here's a comment from our chat room. We call him the resident rhino, Mr. Fairley. He said, wow, heard Mitt Romney say exactly what Russ is saying in the Mitt Romney documentary about changing your mind to become right. Okay, so Mitt Romney did this. Guess what? You voted for Mitt Romney, as did I. I was not a Mitt Romney guy in the beginning. I was not a John McCain guy in the beginning. But at this time in the primary process, I did the right thing, and I got in line. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. And I didn't sit out the election. So, Mr. Fairley and you other borderline Never Trump people, get in the damn line. Get on the Trump train. Join the winning team. We're going to win. Be on the winning team for once.
And I guess this brings me to the last, well, not really the last talk, but here's another thing about the Trump phenomenon. You mentioned he's a billionaire, Russ. But meanwhile, he has gotten more free press, more earned media, more free coverage than any candidate that I can think of. I don't know if he cracked $1 in New York when he won and broke 50% for the first time. He's been doing all this without having to tap a donor base yet, which he can still tap for the general, and he can still self-fund. So it's another part of the phenomenon that we haven't, talked about. But Donald Trump has done all this not only on a populist wave, but he has learned to manipulate media and use it to his advantage. And it's something we're going to talk about later on about, the Trump media monster that we'll talk about at the other end of the show. But we have to remark about that. I mean, Jeb, ! Spent how many millions of dollars? And how much did he pay per vote? It's obscene the amount of money that was thrown at stopping Donald Trump, but that couldn't stop him. And the
man's unstoppable.
We need to point that out about that because there's going to be a lot more money coming at him, and hopefully working with him.
And so part of his media strategy to get this earned media is it's brilliant. The guy's brilliant. He, believe me when I say this, the things Trump says are not off the cuff. I mean, he goes up and gives speeches with just a few notes on napkins or whatever he uses. Very similar to myself whenever I have to speak in public. I don't like to read a speech. I think that's corny. I think that's terrible.
As you can tell on the show.
So, you know what I mean? You make notes, bullet points, and you expand on each one. And that's what he does. But trust me when I tell you this. Donald Trump is a calculating guy. If you look at news reports and interviews from the last couple of years with Donald Trump, well before the primaries even started, Donald Trump was positioning himself for a run. It's quite clear as you watch what he said within the last year or two. Most of the major flip-flops that people are pointing to did not happen over the past 2 years. They were issues that when he was running around in the 80s with Mayor Ed Koch in New York City, might have taken a position on abortion on the Phil Donahue show, and he switched it since then. I mean, the man is solid as of the last couple of years. So what he's been doing, Gene, is, if you notice, every week or so, he drops a bombshell statement, and everyone thinks, oh my God, this guy is crazy. That's probably not even true what he said. And then the news talks about it for a few days. And then guess what happens? They do research and they find out, it's actually true. Like the latest one before the primaries basically ended was Ted Cruz's father was in a picture with.
Oh, well, let's
Lee
not
Harvey
go into
Oswald.
this. Wait a minute.
Let me talk about this real briefly because this was brilliant. This was
brilliant. Okay, I need to hear this.
This was if. In fact, Cruz was going to hang around any longer, which, by the way, Cruz, you overstood your welcome. Even that last statement you made today was kind of idiotic that you would consider jumping in if the voters, like whatever you thought, did a rain dance or whatever you thought they were going to do to get you back in the race. But you're out. I love you, but you're out. It's a fact, Gene, that Lee Harvey Oswald's own girlfriend wrote some crap back then in a book saying that they knew Raul Cruz. Rafael Cruz. That's me, Master of Race Relations.
There you go. Names. It's all the same.
I believe Raul is American for Rafael.
Oh, okay.
By the way, which is Ted Cruz's actual name?
I will take your word for it.
Yeah. So
this is the part that I didn't miss.
But the truth of the matter is, he is, in fact, in a picture with Lee Harvey Oswald. Now, did he have anything to do with JFK's assassination? I mean, probably not. You can't say for certain.
Listen, nobody can say for certain.
Nobody can say for certain. And Donald Trump did not say he had anything.
And we're
he
saying
just said it's disturbing that the man is in a picture with Lee Harvey. Gene, if your dad was in a picture with Lee Harvey Oswald, I'd find that slightly disturbing and I'd bring it up on the show. Okay, Donald Trump is brilliant.
Oh my God! Obviously. Obviously, we're talking a little tongue-in-cheek, I hope.
Oh, my God.
But, oh, my goodness.
Gene, whose father is in a picture with Lee Harvey Oswald?
Lots of people's fathers in a picture with Lee Harvey Oswald. We just don't know.
Name one.
We just don't know about it.
Well, the man who's running for president, his father is in one. It's worth looking at.
All right, listen, we're just at about halftime here, and I need to get control of the show. I want to thank everybody for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio, and if you are listening right now, you are most likely on www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you missed any part of this show, that when we broadcast live Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Spreaker. You could check us out on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station, WJHC 107.5 FM on the Florida-Georgia line in beautiful Jasper, Florida, K98 Talk, High Plains Talk Radio and Sackheads Media, and ICRN, the Internet's conservative radio network. But if you miss us on any one of those rebroadcast outlets, you can check us out on demand via iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM, iHeartRadio, and you can also discover us on Google Play Music. A couple of new things there, Russ. I don't know if you noticed.
Gene, I actually think you make most of that up every time you say it.
I read it right off our website at www.behindenemylinesradio.us.
Because I just can't even... half those things I've never even heard of. What are these things?
Oh, stop it. You hear it every week when you're here.
What is Stitcher?
I'll explain it to you during our commercial break, which we're going to take right now. When we come back, I'm going to give you our interview with Dan Gaynor from Media Research Center and Newsbusters. We'll have a little Reverend Al time, and then Russ and I will come back, and we will debate who created Trump. Was it Trump, or was it the media? Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back.
Trump was created on the 6th day.
Right after these brief...
And then there was Trump.
Words. Oh, my goodness, Russ is back. There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene Baradelli, back behind enemy lines, joining me on the line right now. Always great to welcome back to the show Dan Gaynor from Newsbusters and Media Research Center. Dan, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing well. It's certainly a crazy election season. If nothing else, it's full employment for a while until somebody gets in charge in Washington and locks us up.
Well, while you're cashing the checks, let's talk about some of the news from this week, especially when it pertains to Facebook and the alleged suppression of conservative news on Facebook. We just had Mike Nunez from Gizmodo, the gentleman who broke the story that has been blowing up this week. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked him. Facebook is a private company. So what if they pick and choose what they want to say is trending?
Well, like I said, it depends on what they represented as doing. I think this goes back to, and I don't claim to be a lawyer, but I think it would go back to what they legally promised. And the problem you've got with a company the size of Facebook is you probably have a bunch of people who have made official statements. They've probably got representations on all sorts of different web pages. Who knows? Maybe they've got legal going through every one of those and tracking what everybody's saying. But if you promised that something was being done, let's say electronically, we've got this wonderful algorithm. It's only done by computer, guaranteed to pick the most trending topics. Well, that builds a certain faith. And if you've got then editors going in and dropping out things that are trending and putting in things that are not, that would seem to be something that government would probably take a dim view of and might either fine you or try to pursue some sort of action against you. Again, not being a lawyer, but that I think that would fall under consumer protection issues.
Okay, and we had a little conversation off air, and remarking how this news follows up on the news stories that were coming out previously about Facebook employees talking about whether or not they should be fixing, quote unquote, the election. This cannot be a good PR situation for Facebook right now.
Yeah, Zuckerberg came out and really obviously blasted Trump, even though he didn't say Trump. And so he put himself in the line fire for that. And they have a weekly conversation with employees. And this also, by the way, comes from Gizmodo, so good job on their part. And the employees do an online organizational poll what they should ask about. They're asking what should we do as an organization to stop Trump? Well, that's terrifying. Facebook has reaches 1 billion people. It's an enormous publisher. It's a publisher on a scale that almost no one in journalism can even fathom. You're talking about roughly 1/7 of the global population reads Facebook, and that's where they're and so I can tell you I know numerous conservatives who've run into problems with Facebook where they list things involving the two most protected classes in America, Muslims and somewhere in the LGBT spectrum, and their posts will be delisted. They will be sometimes suspended. I think you've got an organization that is not conservative friendly, and I think you probably have some very mushy rules that have been enforced in a very negative way on a lot of conservatives. And the same, frankly, happens on Twitter. You get threats on Twitter. If you're conservative, nobody cares. If you're D. Ray McKesson, who ran pathetically for mayor of Baltimore as a big popular lefty Black Lives Matter guy, oh yeah, you get banned instantly if you say something that looks like it might be a threat, even though I don't think it was.
So now, I guess the inevitable question is social media the same as the Washington Post, the New York Times, the LA Times? Are they media? Are they, in fact, published media just on a screen rather than in some sort of tangible form? Of course they are. There's stuff that I'm sure the founding fathers didn't really envision particularly, but it's frankly more trustworthy than Washington Post and New York Times, because what it does is it takes your recommendations to your people, to the people who know you. And presumably, let's say, well, I'm a big football fan, and so if I post something about football, people say, well, Dan posted about football. He's not going to steer me wrong. This is probably important about football, and so that you have that built-in trust factor for your friends, and so it matters more than the Washington Post, which is that's just the Washington Post, and people say it's biased. They know who I am. And that trust factor is off the charts. I can tell you, just everything I've read, it is enormous. So if it turns out that people stop trusting Facebook, and I mean, speaking personally, I've never fully trusted it. It's a big liberal tech company, just like Twitter, just like Reddit, and the rules are not the same for conservatives anywhere in America anymore. Well, I think here's where they differ. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because while you're not the lawyer, I'm not the media expert. They differ in that they don't really employ anybody to write stories on behalf of Facebook. They rely on users to aggregate their own stories, and then they take that aggregation, they put it out there. In a way, it's like a public version of Drudge almost. Does that distinction work in Facebook's favor, or does that work against them? The fact that they're actually kind of palming the card a little bit in saying, well, people are actually saying this when they're really saying that. Well, they're still employing people who are tantamount to editors, the people who are working in the
in the trending topics, the people who are choosing that, the people who are deciding what topics are shut down and what topics are not, are serving the function of editors, just as they are at the Washington Post, New York Times, and CNSnews.com for us. If you post something in those places and someone likes it, if you post an op-ed and it gets promoted and it does real well, and then the publisher of those sites comes in and says, "Oh, I'm shutting that down. I think you said something wrong." You're serving the function of an editor. It seems no different to me, and in fact, like I said, I feel it is probably more powerful at this point. I don't know anyone really in the news political field who relies on any one of the networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, cable news, whatever, for breaking news until they need video. Up to that point, they're using Twitter. They might be using Facebook, but they're sure as heck not watching television. They're all in front of their computer screens or watching it on their phones.
And when they're not on Twitter and they're not on Facebook, they should be on newsbusters.org for all the latest news exposing liberal lies and media bias. Let's talk about what's been trending on Newsbusters this week, Dan. Obviously, Donald Trump being the presumptive nominee for a full week, there's got to be a lot of attacking. There's got to be a lot of mocking. There's got to be a lot of ridicule of Donald Trump right now, right?
Well, there's the media and the left and many on the right are certainly out to get Trump. We wrote a big piece that just came out because we looked at the history that Donald Trump has with NBC, and this is not Trump's fault. Trump's a businessman. He'll make a partnership, but the partnership resulted in he had two partnerships with NBC, a partnership for his contest, Miss Universe and others, and a partnership for The Apprentice. Now, what the result of that was, NBC used its news organization to promote the living heck out of Donald Trump. They went above and beyond the call to the point where they gave him 21 times more positive coverage over negative coverage and didn't cover a lot of the things that now are coming up as controversies that happened during that 11-year time, and just kind of zoned on through it. And when they did cover controversies, they didn't admit to people that they were partnering with Donald Trump. So again, not Trump's fault, but it really calls into question the relationship that all news organizations make with celebrities and newsmakers.
And it's all about the dollar bill. That's what it all comes down to. When you're making money with Trump on NBC Universal, you're happy as a clam when he's causing controversy because controversy is bringing in the cash. But now when you want to bring in the dollars for the election, and it seems like the way to go is to go against your prized possession now.
Yeah, exactly. They're distancing the guy that they in 2012. They were asking people from The Apprentice, "Oh, do you think Donald? Would you vote for Donald Trump?" On Today's Show, which is basically was a PR arm of Donald Trump and The Apprentice. And I'm not talking about a few times. They did hundreds of these kind of segments where, one of them, they have Donald Trump walking in to the Imperial March from Star Wars, which was a really funny segment. But he's walking in on a red carpet, and you've got him, so like the emperor of all things. So they help build the persona that he's now using. Like I said, he's an excellent marketer. He's now using it to run for president. But are you going to see NBC in their coverage now where they're distancing themselves from Trump? Are they going to go and remind people, oh, yeah, by the way, we partnered with Donald Trump for 11 years and helped promote him and a seemingly endless stream of stories in our news division, not just entertainment. Entertainment's different. We're talking about the Today Show being the PR arm. Will they do that? Of course they won't. They won't admit that because now it's politically savvy for the top media outlets to back off and to attack Trump, which is what they're all doing.
I want to ask you one last question. Then I'm going to plug the heck out of newsbusters.org and all the great work you're doing at Media Research Center. But we have to talk about the news that came out regarding, I think it was the New York Times, regarding the Iran deal, and saying that the administration purposefully lied. So go ahead and get into that.
Oh, this is Ben Rhodes. He had this massive interview, and it was kind of ridiculous, kind of a kiss-up interview in many ways. But he admitted that he manipulated the press, and he had some great words to say that I don't even disagree with some of the things he said about the press. He said most of the reporters covering politics now are 27 years old and they know nothing. But what he meant was, and they're easy to manipulate. And he said, basically, he was able to create a false narrative where the Obama administration, instead of negotiating with moderates in Iran, that might make you think, oh, well, there's hope that Iran's not full of anti-Semitic nuclear wannabe nuclear-armed nutballs like Khamenei, who runs Iran. Instead, that's exactly who they were negotiating with. They were negotiating with the nutballs. And he convinced the press otherwise. And since then, a few of the press people have come out and said, oh, well, that's not entirely true. Of course, the New York Times never contacted them. And I think really what this is they threw a grenade in the press room, basically, with this story, and freaked out the press to find out not only does the Obama administration lie, but they are proud of it. They lied to the American people. They had an organized, structured PR campaign to lie to the American people, manipulate these stupid morons in the press, and got away with it. And now the stupid morons in the press aren't entirely happy that came out because they look like stupid morons. But it's not a big crisis because it was Obama. If Trump did that, or if Romney before him had done that, or George Bush, if he had done that when he was president, it would have been like Watergate.
And that's just a sample, folks, of what you can expect to get when you go to Media Research Center, mrc.org, you go to newsbusters.org. Be sure when you go to the site, by the way, close to 2.6 million likes on Facebook for these organizations. And that's million with an M.
Our total Facebook likes across our different Facebook pages, more than 10 million. So this
I was just talking about Newsbusters, but geez Louise, Dan Gaynor's on the plugs like white on rice, man.
And
so
that's
listen,
why this concerns us.
Absolutely, it concerns so many people. If you're one of those 10 million, and you haven't yet signed up for the subscriptions and the regular updates you can get from Media Research Center, click the subscribe button on newsbusters.org, and they'll take you through all the different ways that you can have this information sent to you on a weekday, weekly, monthly basis, whether it's video content or just a newsletter rundown. So much great stuff at Newsbusters. Like I say on every interview, it is part of my daily morning blog roll to go there and see what's going on. Dan, thanks for coming on the show, man. Did I miss any Plugmeister?
Oh, no, I think you plugged us very well, and we appreciate it.
I try to do my best because I believe in the work that you guys are doing. Dan Gaynor, Newsbusters Media Research Center, thanks so much, man. I'll talk to you next month, and we'll pick it up again.
You can count on it, man. Take care.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
But resist we much. We must. They're all jitty about a shutdown. The tortoise in the race, then co-author of Hubris. U2 lead singer Bono, Fran Drescher, Sigourney Weaver, suspect Jahar Tsarnaev, Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh, the show Rush Lombard hosts Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Is Mike Muckery yesterday, Antonin Scalia, Kim Kardashian, and the Republican candidates, both Cairo and Benghazi. We rank behind Lavita. First stop, Kazakhstan to college students in Beijing. He's getting lunch at Chipotle in Iowa. Bain is appropriate. The GOP's tax day giveaway to millionaires. Why was traffic problems email sent? The Environmental Projection Agency. And what sequestration has done.
But wait, there's more.
We all know I've had my share of prompter issues. And here's the president meeting with a cola cube. Republicans, Grinches, launching fistful of coal. Copies of the new issue of Charlie Hebdo. He also goes by the name Michael Ziha-Bilbao. 26-year-old Nina. Phone. Ray Romano. Honor David Letterman. He died of accidental Phenom, Al-Qaeda in Yemen. The start of school has been postponed several times. Massive manhood is underway. Who spoke at a white supremacist convention. You look at the hand you dealt with, there are not 60 Republicans after a historic when you hear of ISIS now waterboating all over the map on immigration. Did the New England Patriots cheat to get into the big game? NFL analyst and Hall of Fame player Troy Aikens, the writer slamming President Obama for talking with YouTube celebrities. What's the latest tonight in Iowa?
Well, in Ottawa.
And they gave this guy a TV show? Let's get back to our show.
Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. I want to thank Dan Gaynor from newsbusters.org and Media Research Center for joining us. Check out those sites, folks. They are fantastic. And I love the discussion we had. By the way, quick programming note. We were scheduled to have Michael Nunez from Gizmodo come on the show. He had a last-minute commitment. We wish him well. We'll never call him again, of course, but, you know, that's what happens in radio. He's dead to us. It's vendetta now. So, Russ, I know that you were listening intently to the interview with Dan Gaynor, and you were telling me, Gene, we got to touch on some of this stuff because I got stuff to say.
Let's talk about Facebook, Gene.
But you don't have Facebook. Why should we talk about it?
Well, exactly that. I mean, let's talk about why you should not have Facebook. First of all, I heard you basically saying that you don't think they did anything wrong. I just can't believe
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
And for those guys who weren't paying attention or not following the news or been under a rock, Facebook is being accused of suppressing conservative ideas on their platform.
Right, for taking their trending topics and actually removing the content curators removing stuff.
Correct. And Gene, let me ask you some questions, Mr. Counselor. Do they? Is there a disclaimer anywhere on the front page of Facebook that says these trending topics are actually not what's trending; it's what we think should be trending?
False premise. They can do whatever they want. They're a private company.
They can, but it's obviously under false pretenses that they're putting things down that are supposedly trending when they're choosing what should be up there and trending.
If they are on record somewhere, such as goonrecord.com. If they are on record somewhere saying, we pick trending topics based upon this algorithm that we use.
Which is what they say. That's their statement that they put out.
If that is what it is, and then they don't do that, then what Dan Gaynor said is correct. There would be a consumer protection violation there. It's not criminality or anything like that. They get fined and then they move on. Again, what is the BFD here? What? I'm trying to understand. Unless you are... I mean, listen, Facebook is free to use. You can choose to use it, you choose not to use it. They choose trending topics. You can choose to look at them, you can choose not to look at them. You can go out and find your own news source yourself. The same thing with Twitter. Go out and find it yourself. Why do you need to go to the trending topics of what some company is telling you? By the way, and by the way, isn't this a democratic argument? You don't let companies speak, whatever. This is a company that's speaking. And is choosing what they want to highlight and what they don't want to highlight. Why are we against corporations highlighting things when they're against conservatism, but we're okay with it when it's for conservatism? We're okay with Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby speaking politically when they need to, whether it's about contraception or whether it's about traditional values or whatever the case may be. If Facebook is doing it, what is the big deal?
All right, so let's see what Mark Zuckerberg, that communist, and his company had to say, Gene, since you're defending them.
I'm not defending anybody. I'm putting a position out there. I want to hear it.
So here's what Facebook's response was. Facebook does not allow or advise our reviewers, the people who decide what's trending, Facebook does not allow or advise our reviewers to systematically discriminate against sources of any ideological origin, and we've designed our tools to make that technically not feasible. At the same time, our reviewers' actions are logged and reviewed, and violating our guidelines is a fireable offense. So, You're actually arguing something that Facebook's not even arguing. Facebook is saying they do not do this. But clearly someone thinks they do it, and there's evidence to the contrary of what Facebook themselves is saying.
And you know what? I think my argument is better than Facebook's argument.
Well, maybe they should hire you as their attorney, but they're not making the argument you're making.
And if you want to hire Gene Baradelli as your attorney, go to www.BehindEnemyLionsRadio.us. There's a contact form there you could use. I'll be waiting.
At the end of the day, Facebook is as close to a monopoly as you can get for what it does.
You just mentioned that you're on Twitter and you don't care about Facebook.
Guy, but Facebook is clearly different. It's almost a monopoly.
But there's a market share there for them to all use for social media. And by the way, if I come to your house, I have to stay there by your rules. Same thing with Facebook. Here's where the argument is, Russ, in my opinion. The argument is with those conservative organizations that pay money to Facebook to have their information highlighted on there. That's where the argument is. By the way,
the definition of
Russ, put your cans on, because we got some company coming on the line right now.
Geez.
On the air right now, caller, who is this?
Have you guys ever heard of the...
hang on a second. Our headphones are out.
Yak Attack?
Give me a second. I got to see what happens.
What is going on?
Caller, we hear you now. Go ahead.
Yo, this is Yak the Nazi Slayer. How you doing?
All right, Yak, how are you? Thanks for calling in.
Can I quick comment about Facebook for a second?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, totally. You know something? Is this the same Facebook that blocks pro-Israel and pro-conservative websites, and they allow radical Black Lives Matter users and people use Facebook and pages that call for violence and intimidation, and they're cool with that, and they're cool with Palestinians that openly glorify stabbings and innocent Israelis and violence against innocent children and people. I mean, are you kidding? This is more than just blocking conservative pages and trying to manipulate and micromanage what people get to see, what people don't get to see. And I mean, this is used as a weapon against conservatives and against realists and rationalists all over. This is their Marxist-Solinsky way of controlling stuff. I mean, this is a much bigger story about, do they have the right? Well, of course, I get it's a private, but we are calling them out for their crap. That's basically what this is all about. Listen, I don't want a fairness doctrine, but let's call it what it is. Mark Zuckerberg, you slimy piece of crap. This is what you're all about. You
okay, Yak, listen. Yak, I appreciate what you're saying, and I agree to an extent. However, if you continue to go to Facebook to see the latest cat meme, or to go to whatever group you want to talk to and talk to your friends and all that, then you too are perpetuating the problem a little bit. Facebook has over 1 billion people on it, and they are using it as their platform to promote whatever they want to promote. I understand what you're saying, and Russ is going to disagree with me. I'm going to let Russ talk next, and then you can jump back in, Yak. But I'm thinking here that, again, what is the big deal? Facebook is doing what the hell they want to do, and you're choosing to support them and giving them the numbers so they can go to advertisers and make more money, and so their stock can go up, and they can still perpetuate that no matter what. Again, if that's what they're doing and they're a corporation, that's what they choose to do, and they're profiting from it, who am I to say anything? My choice as a conservative is, don't go on Facebook. Russ, go ahead.
Yeah, but you can't use the market to solve everything. Like I said, when a company basically has a stranglehold on a certain segment of the market, it doesn't matter what the consumer does at that point. That's like saying, think of anything you want to think of. That's like saying if one company in America owned every cow in the United States, and then they started doing certain things to beef that people disagree with, well, they can just stop buying beef. Well, they can't, because they own every freaking cow in the country.
Punish them for their success. That's all you're doing is punishing them for their success.
Monopolies are wrong. Jack had it right. Facebook promoted Black Lives Matter. They promoted Occupy Wall Street. They made them look like a much bigger organization than they really were. Facebook actually helped shape the news and direct the narrative. And that's no different from what the Marxist administration is doing right now, the latest scandal with the Iranian deal. Ben Rhodes has admitted that the media is filled with a bunch of stooges that'll put out whatever they want, and Facebook helped them along the way too by putting out false information about the deal with the Iranians during the process, which got the American people to get on board with Obama for a deal that's nonsensical and that the Iranians aren't even following.
All right, now
so Yak was 100% right.
Yak, I know that there was another reason you wanted to call. I know you and Russ are buddy right now, but I'm about tearing apart relationships. So I know that you had some comments about Donald Trump that you wanted to put out there. So go ahead and do that.
All right. First, let me, just to the very beginning, I know you like tearing people apart, but full
Be
disclosure,
informative, be brief, Yak.
No sympathy for the establishment freaks who are sitting on their asses. They could have, supported an alternative to Trump. Where were they when they had, Ted Cruz? Except the dirty secret is, it wasn't just never Trump, which, full disclosure, I have a lot of problems with, but, well, he's the nominee. But it was really also a never Cruz. They wanted their flock of golden geese to be nominated. None of those people succeeded, so they were like, you know what, screw it. And like most of these Kasich guys, they were Kasich guys. They're all for Kasich, trying to last-ditch effort to support him. And obviously they saw he wasn't going to go around, so they were just like posting memes and pictures and getting rich on the donor base. To basically, that was the Never Trump movement.
We appreciate the recap. Yeah,
Hold on,
but we need a point.
Fast forward. Get to the...
My point is, I begrudgingly am inching slowly towards Trump. I'm not there yet, but I am about to board the just not there yet. And for all these the fellow Cruz conservatives, look, at this point, you didn't get Cruz. You're not getting the conservative you wanted. You're not. But you don't want Hillary. If you want to influence legislation, you need a House and Senate. That means you need to win in the general election. That means a top to bottom take from Trump all the way down to your local congressman. And guess what? If you're not on board with him now, let's see, what if he without you? What if he was without you? He's not gonna see it as a mandate that he needs to enact conservative legislation. What if Trump got for the loot? You want these Trump people to support you in 2020. You think they're coming board? No, they're going to remember that you let, him dry. Someone brought up a good point. Nixon was not like Romney and Rockefeller. Nixon was smart and supported Goldwater, and although he lost, he was able to get the Rockefeller Republicans. He was able to get you build a coalition.
He's running out of steam. Yak, you're running out of steam, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, pal. And listen, great call in. We'll send you your less government, more fun T-shirt very soon, pal. Thanks for calling in. I'm going to hang up on you now because, well, we got a little bit of show left. I gotta go. Bye. And listen, thanks, Yak, for calling in. He's one of those guys that was anti-Trump, and he's inching towards the Trump train, Russ.
That's it.
That's a good sign to me.
Got to put him on timeout for a little while.
But that's okay. Listen. That was 90% of a good dropping point.
It was great.
So final thought time for Russ Gallo.
Final thought on this topic, then I got one last final thought after.
It's all you, pal, to the end.
No, not all me. So listen, Donald Rumsfeld once said this during the Iraq War in the very beginning, you go to war with the army you got, not the army you wish you got. So all the people that were against Trump this whole time, listen. You got to go to war with the army you got. And guess what? I like this army. It's headed up by Trump. But when we talk about a possible cabinet, Supreme Court picks, we're looking at guys on the team like Giuliani, Chris Christie, Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, Rick Perry, Newt Gingrich, John Kasich, Bobby Jindal. I can go on and on. John Bolton. You got a bunch of people that are on this team. Trump is no dummy. These guys are going to fill high-level cabinet posts, and some of them are on the Supreme Court. And there's more and more names to mention. So that's my final thought towards Yak's argument about Trump. And get on board, guys. Get on board for the big win.
My quick final thought for the whole show. I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank Dan Gaynor, Newsbusters, MRC, for coming on the show. Towards the end of the week here, folks, Invictus Games. Check them out. Support our veterans. And another organization I want you to check out. Go on Facebook. I'm telling you to go there. To the Warrior Angels Foundation. They have a great video up there talking about PTSD and traumatic brain injury. And they think that they have a way to help our veterans. And I agree with them. They've been on the show before. Check them out, folks.
Gene, you communist Facebook.
Whatever.
All right, no, great last thought.
And great to have you back.
A couple of quick last thoughts for me. One is the transgender in the bathroom issue. Listen, you people who don't have a problem with this, you're demented, okay? If you have a daughter or a young female in your family and you find it cool that some 55-year-old male pervert might be in the bathroom with them, shame on you. That's a disgrace whether they're transgender or not. Can't we go to the bathrooms in peace? Can't we try on a pair of jeans at Macy's in peace? All right, I'll put that one to the side for next week. And lastly, Gene, I was right about something else. I wasn't only right about Trump, and I know we haven't had a chance to talk about this, and we're probably not going to, but Michelle Fields, that whole allegation of getting assaulted by, what's his name?
Come on.
It went nowhere. The cops pressed no charges. No prosecutor in his right mind would have ever taken up that case. The whole thing is gone and forgotten about. Michelle Fields and Ben Shapiro, you made fools out of yourselves. I know Gene's your friend, but you disgraced yourself. And once again, Donald Trump was 100% right from the jump.
All right, time for us to shut this thing down. Russ, what do you say?
Shut this mofo down. And for you new listeners, possibly lots of truck drivers, welcome aboard Behind Enemy Lines.
Yes, let's all potty like it's 1999. Good night, folks, from the People's Republic of New York City.
Our position's been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, a rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days. Out.